In Season 1 of Downloadable Content, we devoted some episodes to celebrate the milestone anniversaries of some of gaming's biggest franchises. 2011 saw the 20th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog, the 25th anniversaries of Dragon Quest, The Legend of Zelda, and Metroid, the 30th anniversary of Donkey Kong, and the 15th anniversary of Resident Evil. So here we are, 5 years since, and on this episode, we take a look back and see what's happened with those franchises since their anniversaries. That's next on Downloadable Content. Welcome to Downloadable Content. I'm Brian, and with me we have Ron.
Hey, everyone.
And we have a Nick.
Hello.
Us three this time, be not quite as large as the panel as you had for the PAX East recap. Just us three, so hopefully not as long of an episode, but hopefully no less entertaining. It usually is, especially with us three, idiots behind the mics here. So. But yes.
Three Stooges.
Yep. We're going to be talking about... Yeah?
Nope, that was a hiccup on me.
That was a hiccup. All right. We'll fix this in post. As well as that. So, yeah, so we'll be talking about... take a look back at Season 1. All these franchises coming up on anniversaries. But before we dive into all of that, just want to remind everyone, every single episode of Downloadable Content can be found on our website, dlcpodcast.com. You can get every single episode there. You can find out information on upcoming recordings. You can send us feedback. Let us know what you think of each episode, questions, comments, if you want to be on an episode, if you want to give us ideas for future episodes. All of that's there. So again, dlcpodcast.com. So let's go to work, gentlemen. We're looking back. I think actually, Nick, this was your idea.
I kind of nudged this a little in your direction because, when we first started this, we were all just a bunch of young guys with microphones, a little too much time on our hands, and I just was, we went through the anniversary episodes, but now that we're a little older, a little more professional, and we got plenty more material this time. So I figured, hey, let's just have a look back and see what they've done and continue to either praise them or bash them with baseball bats.
All right,
one of the two.
Yeah, some of them, I think, definitely some of them will get a few light slams. Some of them will get definitely some fatal beatings. So... we will dive right in. We're going to go in basically in order in how we did them in Season 1. So we'll start with Sonic, which is now 25. And,
Poor Sonic.
Oh, I weep for Sonic because he was so good. He was so good.
To be fair, I think he had one good game come out since 2011.
Yeah, when we did the episode, it was in February of 2011, so, in that time, we've had Sonic Generations, which I'm told was okay.
Sonic Generations, well, I don't know, do you want to run down the rest of the list and I'll jump into it?
Yeah, so we had Sonic Generations, we had Episode 2 of Sonic 4, and then really not much else until the Wii U came along with, Lost World, and then we had Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric, and Shattered Crystal. So that's what we have to work with, gentlemen.
And my understanding was that Sonic Generations was actually not that bad. The 2D was very, the 2D gameplay in Sonic Generations was quite literally, what you wanted to see out of a Sonic game, in that it was fast-paced action, running across the screen, left to right, collecting as many rings as you can, and just watching physics get blown up by a little blue hedgehog.
But it wasn't just that the 2D segments were good. And the 2D segments were good, but out of all of the Sonics that I've played, and I do believe I have played all of the console Sonics, that includes Sonic Boom. We'll get to that. But Sonic Generations was the best 3D Sonic in terms of how it handled, how the camera worked. Everything was very smooth, transitioned nicely. I really, did an even better job than Sonic Colors did. And I really thought, like, this is it. This is Sonic finally turning over a leaf. The glory days of Sonic the Hedgehog are coming back. This really is the best game since Sonic 3 and Knuckles was out. And then we got Sonic Lost World. And then when Sonic did it. Literally ran into a wall.
They did it. They finally righted the ship. And then they decided, no, we're going to stare into this second iceberg.
And then they just shat all over it.
But Sonic Generations really was, although it was a short game, and a lot of it had to do with a lot of filler missions, which, a lot of people will either take it or leave it. This game is not without its downsides, but comparatively speaking to all the shit Sonic has had to deal with since Sonic Adventure, this really felt like the most complete Sonic title in recent memory. So I really thought things were going to start getting better for him until... And kind of glossing over Sonic 4 Episode 2 real quick here, and just jumping right into Sonic Lost World. Why did Sega think emulating Super Mario Galaxy was a good idea?
Because they saw Super Mario Galaxy and went, we could do that with Sonic, and we can make money off that too. And they didn't think to spend. They didn't think to spend 2 years or so of working on the physics of it.
My biggest problem with Sonic Lost World is they were designing like a really good game, a really good, it on paper was really good, and then like 95% of their way through production, they kind of just had that moment of, oh yeah, shit, this is a Sonic game. Quick, make them run fast. I've never played a Sonic game that had a dedicated run button. I shouldn't have to hold down a button to run. That's Mario's job, not Sonic's.
I was gonna say, that's Mario, that's Samus, that's Zelda. Like, you should just have one mode in Sonic. Fast. No holding down buttons. No, lock-on feature. Just running, holding a direction and just watching Sonic go. And potentially break the sound barrier.
And the camera was not 18-player. All the camera issues, I was like, they finally fixed the generation cycle. I just went, hey, guess what? They're back!
And that's the thing that Sega has always done with Sonic, though, because, and even before, Sonic's, fall from grace, it's like Nintendo always did something cool and new with Mario to great success, and then Sega goes, you know what Nintendo did with Mario? We should do that with Sonic. And for some reason, if Mario does it, people love it. If Sonic does it, it ends up failing miserably. Usually because gamers can see right through that gimmick and go, oh.
The problem is that Mario is a slower paced game than Sonic, and that is a terrible thing to say as far as having false expectations. But that was how Sega sold Sonic in the first place, was the speed element of the game, and that's why the early Sonics did very well. Now, granted, a lot of it was some of map memorization, but they were still otherwise great titles. I liked Sonic and I liked Mario back in the Super Nintendo Genesis days for entirely different reasons. I couldn't pick one or the other. I ended up picking Mario ultimately because I owned a Super Nintendo. I did not own a Genesis, but I appreciated everything the Genesis did.
I think the only thing that Sega, and I could be wrong, I think the only thing that Sega hasn't tried yet with Sonic, I have not yet seen a Sonic baseball.
We do have Sonic Racing.
We do have Sonic Racing. We do have Sonic Kart.
I swore there was a Sonic baseball game on the Genesis.
Oh, please
for
don't.
Mega Gear.
Please don't.
I'm gonna Lord Google.
Oh.
There was a Sonic Fighters, 2 of them, because they had to try and rip off Smash Bros. And fail.
I feel like I'm going to be very badly disappointed in about 4 seconds.
Sonic Super Sluggers?
Yeah.
That's
it? Brian, we'll understand if you want to take a 10-minute break so you can go cry in a corner.
I think that's the only thing that Sega has not yet really done is go crazy with the sports titles. I don't see Sonic Strikers or Sonic Tennis or Sonic Golf or Solf if we want to
Solf. Well, I mean, really, for all that, now we have Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, which they're on their God knows how many now.
Oh well,
it was a great concept at first, but I don't really care much for them. Kind of reining this back in, Sonic 4 Episode 2, while it wasn't a bad game in the series, it wasn't very memorable. I don't know if either one of you two played it.
I have both Sonic 4 Episode 1 and 2, and I think that Sega deliberately sabotaged this because Sega decided to make Sonic 4 in an episodic format on the condition that they would make new episodes if the previous ones sold well. Which I think is the absolute wrong
dumbest.
Most dumbest, wrong way to go about making an episodic format game. If you're gonna do a game in episodic format, make the entire fucking game. Instead of doing this whole bullshit of, okay, we'll release episode 1, and if that sells great, then we'll do the second. And if that sells great, we'll do a third.
Okay, Brian, I've got good news for you. Sonic Super Sluggers is not an actual game.
Oh, thank God.
It was someone making a fan post spinoff.
Thank God.
Okay, so...
And it wouldn't be fair anyway, because Sonic could make an inside-the-park home run out of a single. So...
Or a bunt.
Yeah. So, but, I have Sonic 4 Episode 1 and 2, and I actually did like them both. I mean, a lot of people did gripe about that, the physics felt off, and, I mean, for my personal opinion, that I felt that was really, really nitpicking. I did enjoy the bigger universe in Episode 2, where you could not only play as Sonic, but you could also play as Metal Sonic in some levels.
Yeah, the Metal Sonic ones were kind of fun, kind of going back through Episode 1 again. It was alright.
Yeah,
it was alright.
I mean, a decent try, returning to the true 2D platforming style of the Genesis, but admittedly, you are right, Nick, not entirely memorable. I mean, the music sounded pretty generic for a Sonic game. I mean, when you... And maybe it's just I'm wearing nostalgia goggles here, but I mean, you hear, the words Casino Night Zone or Mystic Cave, and you immediately know the level, you immediately know the music.
Yeah, and the Sonic and Tails, team-ups, it really kind of felt forced to me, but yet they were necessary to beat the levels. The whole thing just didn't feel right to me. It wasn't necessarily wrong, it just didn't feel right. Kind of just made me feel dirty, really.
And then he showered afterward.
Yes, a nice cold shower. Although, save that cold water for the worst Sonic game of the bunch. Sonic Boom.
Well,
why?
I'm just going to say this right now. Of all of the Sonic games that we've discussed, the only one that I have actually played from at all is Episode 1, Sonic 4 Episode 1 and 2. The other ones I have not even touched, so...
You actually, I should hand you. You have a 360, right?
Not anymore. I sold it.
Of course. I gotta get you a copy of Generations. You actually would probably enjoy Generations, even with those some of the more recent Sonics of like the Sonic 06 level.
Isn't Sonic Generations on Steam?
Yes, it is.
So there, they get to it that way.
Yes, it is on Steam. I use the controller personally because the controller works a lot better. It does go at 60 frames as opposed to the console versions, which I believe go at 30 frames. That does make a difference. Because there are some things you do in that game that I could just go through it very seamlessly in the 360 version, and then I get to the PC version, and Sonic just runs right off a cliff because I'm not used to everything moving that fast.
Well, Nick, if you do feel the urge to buy me Sonic Generations, I also do have a PS3. So,
but Sonic Boom. So kind of to get into this a little bit, the developers of this was a group called, I believe, Big Red Button. Let me just make sure that my source is correct here. And of course, this does not say. But the people behind Big Red Button, which, Sega was just a publisher, Red Button was the developer. These guys that headed the project were known to making great games in the past. I believe they made some of the Uncharted games, the Jak and Daxter. I think they even did a Ratchet and Clank. So these guys were well reputable. And making a Sonic game that kind of felt a little more Uncharted-like, and maybe a little less on the speed for a potential series reboot, I was on board with it. And then the title got rushed to try and make it out the door by Christmas.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. So then we had some issues, such as the Knuckles infinite jump. Knuckles could just take off into the sky by using a pause glitch. Hit detection was horrible. You controlled one character, the AI controlled the other three. You would have characters just bouncing around for no reason. You would have Knuckles glitched in a corner somewhere. Oh dear lord. And you could just tell that the game was extremely unpolished. It only sold, now combined Wii U and the 3DS one. The 3DS one, while I haven't played it, I heard was much better. Combined, they only sold just over 600,000 copies. The lowest selling game in the entire Sonic franchise. Worse than Sonic 06. Sad. Absolutely sad.
Well, that's just beautiful right there. Oh, poor Sonic. And
the thing is that, in the demos, yeah, it was a little unpolished, but everyone was like, we could really see the potential for this game to be really, really good. And then, to our shock, when the final game came out, we went, the demo was the actual game!
And they did two of them, Rise of Lyric and Shattered Crystal.
Shattered Crystal was the handheld version, and the handheld version, while I didn't play it, I heard that one was a lot better. Good enough that they're actually coming out with a sequel for it, Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, will do a little later this year. So,
Sonic Boom Game of Thrones edition?
Shame!
You said Fire and Ice, and I immediately thought of A Song of Fire and Ice, so that was your literary reference for today.
I got nothing for that.
All right.
I just
shame. That's why I have shame. Ring the bell.
Moving right along, but I don't know what to think of Sonic anymore. Part of me just says, you guys had it. You had it. Why'd you take it away? Because you had it.
you had
I want to like Sonic. I do. but it's just these games just, they're all over the map.
Okay, the issue with Sonic is that Sega is constantly trying to be like the hip cool kid with and compete with the nonchalant Mario who can do no wrong and just bumbles along the entire freaking way because they rush things or they don't spend enough time on it or they try and mimic what Mario does and fail miserably at it. And they don't actually focus on what made Sonic such a good game in the first place. And they did it. And then they realized what it was, and then they forgot it. Again, because they had money and decided to blow it all again.
I get the impression that Sega tries to reinvent the wheel with every single Sonic game.
I don't know if that's 100% true, because they finally were starting to nail something down with Sonic and the... was it the Secret Rings or the Seven Rings? One of the two. It was for the Wii. It was when Sonic went all Arabian Nights on us. Just rip it right out of Aladdin. But, say, while it was not a very good game, they finally was starting to figure out how cameras should work in a Sonic game. And it just, as we went through 3D Sonic games, it got a little better. It got a little better. It got a little better. And then when we got to Generations, it finally felt like it was the most complete game of the bunch. And then we got to Sonic Lost World, and that just makes me really just want to move on and cry in a corner.
All right, well, we'll move away from Sonic now. We'll just, yeah.
I just feel like I have to go all Old Yeller on him.
Yeah, you might actually. It's for your own good. Yeah. And there's Sonic lying in there in the stable, he's covered in, he's frothing, Anyway. Moving right along, we move on to Dragon Quest, which is now 30. And Dragon Quest is one of those Square Enix properties that they unearth when they need a quick shot of cash from Japan.
Basically.
Sounds about right.
Because Dragon Quest, as we all know, Dragon Quest is one of those franchises in Japan that no matter what bullshit Square assembles, they're gonna eat it up because Dragon Quest is so popular in Japan. People take sick days to play whatever Dragon Quest game comes out. I mean, it is that level of popular.
It's usually a national holiday where, like, whenever a Dragon Quest game gets released, like people either call off sick or the workplace just say, "Hey, just take the day off because we know you're gonna become suddenly sick with a summer flu," and it looked to just have happened right around the time the Dragon Quest game came out.
So, in the 5 years since, we kind of really haven't seen anything from Dragon Quest outside of Japan. We did get, not we, but Japan got Dragon Quest X because, again, Square Enix decided to make the dumb decision of, let's make the next main numbered entry in our series an MMO!
Yes.
Yeah.
And my understanding was actually that Dragon Quest X was actually a pretty decent game. And it was pretty decent. The story was decent. The gameplay was solid. Like, basically take Dragon Quest 8 and 9's gameplay and make it like an MMO almost.
I am kind of surprised it never made its way to the States, because they did tout it in the Americas for a little while of saying, hey, this is, we want to send this to the shores, and I don't know what exactly happened or the story behind it, but it just never made its way here. I'm a little upset.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dragon Quest X's on the Wii, right?
It
started was on the Wii and somewhere else. Was it PS3? Or was it PC?
It started life as a Wii-only MMO.
And there's your problem right there. Can we just confirm once again that Nintendo doesn't know how net coding works, and they don't know what the internet is?
It got a Wii. It started off on the Wii, then it got ported over to Wii U, and then a PC version was released shortly after that, and then an Android version was released shortly after that, and then a 3DS version, not too much longer after that, and
then PS4 supposedly right now.
Not yet, but at any rate, this is not getting released outside of Japan. And Dragon Quest has always been one of those series that has always been hit or miss in the United States. Always. Always has been.
And yet we didn't get Dragon Quest X, yet we got Dragon Quest Builders in Square's attempt to make a Minecraft.
Yes.
I'm curious, but I don't own a PS4, so I can't play it. Besides, I have Minecraft, so why the hell would I need it?
Actually, Dragon Quest Builders was Japan only.
Japan only? I thought that they were going to make their way to the States.
Nope, Japan only. The only Dragon Quest game...
Fucking hell! What the hell, Square?
The only Dragon Quest game that has been released outside of Japan in the last 5 years is a game called Dragon Quest Heroes: The World Trees Woe and the Blight Below, which is basically an action RPG hack and slash type game that came out on PS3 and PS4. That is it. That is the only Dragon Quest game that the US has seen in the last 5 years.
Well, there's Dragon Quest 11, right?
It has been announced.
I believe Dragon Quest 7 is getting a 3DS release sometime this year.
Yes.
As is Dragon Quest 8.
Dragon Quest 8 or 7?
Oh,
both.
Both? Ooh.
Both 7 and 8 are coming to the 3DS. 8's getting some extra bells and whistles. 7's getting a complete redo.
It deserves it.
But that is all. That is all I know.
Seven was a fun game. Long as fuck. Holy shit! I think my save file for Dragon Quest 7 when I beat it was like 90 hours.
Yeah, that was mine too, and that was not even doing any side quest because the pacing of Dragon Quest 7 was so goddamn slow.
It was okay. For those who didn't play Dragon Quest 7, this was a game that came out on the PS1 in 2002, I think.
Close.
It's a really old game.
Close. It came out. Dragon Quest 7 came out in the United States Halloween 2001.
Yeah. So the PS2 is already out, and been out for almost a year stateside, even.
Maybe even longer at that point.
But I'm looking now. Lord Wikipedia, tell us how long the PS2 has been out.
Wheel of Morality, turn.
Tell us a lesson that we should learn.
It came out, the PS2 had been out for almost exactly 1 year. 1 year and 5 days.
Yeah. So, the PS2 has been out for a year. And then you get Dragon Quest 7, this clunky looking, very graphics that look like they were made in 1998.
Dragon Quest 7 could have been done on the Dragon Quest 7 could have been done on the Super Nintendo without a problem.
With very few exceptions, it definitely could have been a Super Nintendo game. And it's a 2-disc game. The first 60 hours almost, you're trying to fix the world, and then the remaining 30 hours goes, surprise, you fix the world. Now the Demon King's back, and now you gotta kill him.
Yeah, all that world fixing you did, that just unleashed the evil that you're now going to fight. Enjoy!
Yeah.
So all that good you were doing was actually... yeah. But, good game, just long as hell. But yeah.
It is a good game. It's just really fucking long.
And I'm hoping that Dragon Quest XI does get a stateside release, because I do enjoy the Dragon Quest games. They're very easy to pick up and play. It's, very simple turn-based RPG action. And
I really wouldn't see why Dragon Quest XI wouldn't come to stateside, especially with how RPGs have really been taking off here in the States. You know, especially with the popularity of Bravely Default and Bravely Second and kind of the more old school RPG elements, Dragon Quest should be right at home and fit right into, what the current market demand is.
All right,
I think it'll be successful.
So
especially being off the Unreal 4 engine.
Yeah. Supposedly, the game is currently scheduled for release within the series' 30th anniversary in Japan for the PS4 and the 3DS. So, in theory, sometime this year, probably going to get shown at E3.
we hope.
And ideally, they release it in North America too, because translation really isn't as big a deal today as it used to be back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s.
I kind of miss Dragon Quest. I mean, with their horribly punned monster names.
The punny names, the punny attacks, the tongue-in-cheek humor, laughing at it, both itself and like the RPG genre as a whole.
Don't litter in the litter. Now's not the time for puns.
There's also the God, you guys can correct me. The puff puff dance.
Yes, the puff puff dance.
Massage.
Puff puff massage. I'm sorry.
The puff puff massage.
It is what you think it is.
It is exactly what you think it is. The puff puff massage is, yes, it's exactly. Let there not be any sort of illusion about what that describes. So, but that's Dragon Quest. Yeah, not a whole lot has happened. So,
not a whole lot has happened, but I feel like things are looking up for the series, unlike what Sonic's been doing. I think Dragon Quest is on its way up, especially, we're getting Dragon Quest XI, there's been Dragon Quest Builders, Dragon Quest Heroes, 7 and 8 is being re-released. I think, a lot of people are looking forward to the next Dragon Quest, unlike the next Sonic.
Or the next Final Fantasy.
Right.
All right.
So we'll get into that later.
Zelda.
Yeah, it's like Zelda now.
It's Zelda's turn now. Zelda. I mean, she's looking pretty good for 30. And Link still is doing the same old Link thing. But since we recorded the episode back in April of 2011, we've got only a few Zelda games, but they have been major releases.
These are major titles that are meant to carry the Zelda franchise until the next release.
Right, so we had Skyward Sword.
Do we really want to go over Skyward Sword, or?
I mean, I never finished.
Okay,
so
I never finished either, and I can explain why I never finished it too.
Well, go
if
on.
You'd like me to.
Go on.
I never finished Skyward Sword because I hated the motion controls of the game. This is a game that I wanted to play with a controller and a normal Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask style of combat. I hated having to go with the Wii remote with the dongle attached to it, mind you. And I still gotta use the nunchuck because fucking nunchuck. And I got 3/4 of the way through the game, and
then you sprained your wrist.
Almost basically, it was getting too difficult for me to play because I was constantly, the camera angles in the game were okay. There were some issues, but there was the dungeon near the end of the game where you have to go get the Triforce, and the camera controls in that area were shit. It was tight areas, and you were standing in corners because you gotta do max range, max distance hook shots, and swing around the entire goddamn level, and that's already disorienting by itself. And then there's the bombing minigame where you have to keep the ancient evil sealed up by throwing bombs at it somehow.
Yeah, I did finish Skyward Sword. I did get 100% completion rate, all
Because
the
of
good
course you did.
jazz. Because that's the kind of person I was. While I totally agree about the motion controls, I really wish that it was an optional feature and not a mandatory one.
Yes.
Was still okay with how the game turned out. I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not gonna play it again because, thank dear God, I did not want to go through that same goddamn boss fight 3 fucking times.
Yeah.
To seal it away. It just, there was quite some repetition that just was unnecessary, dragged out the game. I hate working against time limits. That's not why I play Zelda.
Yeah.
But it was a good idea. It was an overall fun game. I will still dare say better than Twilight Princess.
I will fight you to the death on that, but that's for another day. I also like Skyward Sword.
Fight.
This is not the Mortal Kombat anniversary we're talking about here.
Yeah.
This is Zelda. Come on.
Yeah, I liked it because it finally gave us a story explanation for where the Master Sword came from. It also gave us a story explanation of why it's Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf every single time. And not just because of, like, they're the only people that are actually competent people. No, they're actually cursed to do this for eternity because of what happened in Skyward Sword.
Yeah, the story-wise, it probably was one of the best Zeldas. And I will admit, it was very satisfying to just drop an island on a demon.
For the times when everything absolutely positively has to die, you always go with the tried and true colony drop.
Oh yeah, I mean
it was funny.
You know, if somebody is not dead after you drop an island on them, you're doing it wrong.
I mean, that would just be the easy way to end the Sonic series, wouldn't it? Just drop Angel Island right on Robotnik.
Yeah, that's it. The end. Over.
Good. Clap. We can all leave.
Yeah, that's it. It's over. It's done. We can finish. We can celebrate. You know, good. Done.
The movie's over. Go home.
Yeah, get out of here. So we have Skyward Sword. We also have A Link Between Worlds, which I have and yet to start. I was waiting until I had finished A Link to the Past before I started playing A Link Between Worlds. Now I have finished A Link to the Past, and I kicked myself for not playing it when I was a kid because holy shit, that was a great game. And
yes.
So now I have A Link Between Worlds, which I've also been told is also a very good game.
If you enjoyed A Link to the Past, like the gameplay stylings, the exploring, the world and stuff like that, you will like A Link Between Worlds. Because... Go ahead.
Well,
Link Between Worlds... Now, I will preface this by saying I personally think that Link to the Past, on my personal all-time list, is number 1. This is Link to the Past is my favorite game of all time. Link Between Worlds, I will dare say, gives it a run for its money. I still think Link to the Past is better, but holy crap, Link Between Worlds is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
I did not think for a minute that the rental system, the item rental system, was going to work at all in this game. Not only did it work so spectacularly well. You could just do anything in whatever order you wanted. You didn't have to. For some odd reason, it all clicked. I don't want it for all Zelda games from now on, but for this one instance, this one game, it was beautiful. Loved it.
I think the reason why they introduced that was because, partially due to the speedrunning community, and how often they sequence break things in, like, whenever you speedrun Link to the Past. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched speedrunning games at all or watch people speedrun it, but like there's a like you think you have to go get these things, and then you gotta go get the book and get into the second temple, and then you gotta get the master sword, and it's just like, no, you can like sequence break the entire game. And there's challenges that's called reverse boss kills, as in you kill the bosses in reverse order, starting with Ganon. And there's some pretty fucked up shit they do to do that. But the game still runs because that's how good the game is and how well it was coded. And I think A Link Between Worlds was them like giving the speedrunners an option to be like, here's how you could actually break the game, and we approve of it.
Well, not only just that, but the being able to get the items whenever you wanted meant that they could start doing with those kind of puzzles right from when you enter the dungeon. They don't have to wait until, oh, wait, we have to wait till you get to the big chest so you can get the item, and then we can start throwing these puzzles at you. No, it starts right as you walk in. You know what you're getting yourself into, and they really were creative with their designs. It really, all the dungeons stood out for me for different reasons. While I felt some were better than others, they all were memorable to me. And it really is what made the game a lot of fun. And I mean, didn't care much for the story. I won't get into it too much because poor Brian right here still needs to play it. But yeah, it definitely is got to be number 2 or number 3 on my Zelda list. And right up there on some of my favorite all-time games because, man, that was a really, really fantastic game. Link Between Worlds was so much fun.
Well, I am looking forward to playing it. So, and the last of the releases since 2011, we have Triforce Heroes.
Okay, Rod, did you play this?
I've seen play of it, and from what I've seen and what I've read, this is them experimenting with the Zelda franchise, and I think it almost worked.
Okay,
it's
so
Legend of Zelda Crystal Chronicles.
No, it's
Legend of
Zelda. It's Hyrule Warriors.
Basically,
I have played and beaten Triforce Heroes. It is it is a more but yet less involved Legend of Zelda 4 Swords. It is...
Oh, okay. Brian, you missed Hyrule Warriors.
Did I?
List. I got this mistaken. Yes, you did.
Okay. I thought... Okay.
I got mistaken. I thought
Hyrule Warriors in a little bit, but...
We'll get to that next.
All right.
This is Triforce Heroes. This is the 3DS 4 Swords only. It's 2 other people that can play with you.
Right. 3. I mean, they found out that 4 people was just simply unattainable with how the engines work, but they found 3 people could work. And the puzzles were very well designed. My problem is that you're forcing me to play with other people, and I don't play well with other people. So I ended up playing by myself, and that is not a winning formula. Maybe if I did have some, good friends that I know I can trust and cooperate with, I'm sure I would be having a much better time of going through it, communicating with people, yada, 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 but nothing really popped out at me about Triforce Heroes. The puzzles were good, stages were fun, but nothing too memorable. But it was like what it was.
I feel like the issue with Triforce Heroes, and to a lesser extent 4 Swords, and to a lesser extent trying to make multiplayer Zelda as a whole, is this is a game that, generally speaking, you want to sit down and play by yourself. You want to immerse yourself in it, and you can't really do that when you have to be cooperative and talk with other people about, hey, you have to throw me this way. No, you can't throw me that way. What are you doing? Now we're out of bombs. What the fuck are you doing? Oh my god, we just died. We gotta start all over again.
Well, one thing is that you cannot run out of bombs. You have an energy meter, so it kind of works like Link Between Worlds in that respect. of you can't run out of arrows or bombs. You just have a stamina meter for them. But one nice thing that they did to have you, so that you're not stuck with trolls, is that they give everyone shares the same life meter.
Yeah.
So that does help, but you still get your trolls.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that Triforce Heroes was a bad game. It's just, I don't know. It's just not good for people like myself who just wish to play alone.
Yeah. And the game that Brian forgot that is probably the most interesting of the games that have been released since 2011, you have Hyrule Warriors. This sounds like you're playing Dynasty Warriors in Zelda. You would be right. It's still a fun game.
I think it was because when I was doing my notes for this episode, to me, I consider Hyrule Warriors more in the Dynasty Warriors spin-offs than in the Zelda line of spin-offs, but...
Oh, absolutely.
But, go on, you chat about it, because I haven't played it.
Yeah, Hyrule Warriors is definitely Dynasty Warriors if Dynasty Warriors actually did a Zelda game, which is pretty much how that one works. And that's definitely nothing wrong with it. Definitely did some interesting throwbacks, like Link has an entire, small armory of weapons that you can use. But probably my favorite of the bunch are a thunder elemental type weapon known as the gauntlets, which, when you power it up fully, they take a nice page out of Link's Awakening for the old Game Boy, and it's the power bracelet with Bow Wow. You remember Bow Wow, right, Brian?
Oh, a bit, yes.
Yeah, I just appreciated just wheeling a chain chomp and just swinging him around, so... But they did a lot of weapons, a lot of different throwbacks. We got a 3DS version now out, which I need to go pick up. I haven't yet. Because they're still introducing new characters, they're still introducing new weapons. The Hyrule Warriors continues to be very big. At least from my eyes.
Kill. Well, yes. Just running around killing shit. I mean, who that appeals to everybody. Alrighty, so I believe that we are going to cut to break here. So in the second half, I am going to continue on with the other 3 remaining franchises that we did in Season 1. So we've got Metroid, Donkey Kong, and Resident Evil to look forward to. So in the meantime, we'll cut out for a few minutes, you'll have some music, and we'll be back. You're listening to Downloadable Content. Welcome back to Downloadable Content, going down our little nostalgia trip here, taking a look back at franchises that we did in Season 1. So we've gone through Sonic, Dragon Quest, and Zelda. This half will go to Metroid, Donkey Kong, and Resident Evil. I'm just,
I love how the laughter just happened as soon as
you can't even say it with a straight face.
It's like I'm drooling in anticipation here. So, I'm just going to come right out and say it. So when we did the Metroid episode, that was in April 2011. In fact, these three franchises this half were all in April 2011. So Metroid is now 30. So yep. Samus is looking good. And when I did my notes for this episode, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the 5 years since, we got nothing.
Nothing.
I'm double-checking to make sure.
We got...
No, I double-checked. We have nothing.
Nintendo has not released a single Metroid game in the last 5 years.
Yeah, the last one released, for those who are curious, is called Metroid Other M, also known as the Metroid that everyone wishes didn't exist.
See, and I actually kind of liked that game, not for the reasons that, that you would like other Metro...
You liked the gameplay, you didn't like the story.
Oh, the story was terrible.
Yeah.
But the game was fun. Team Ninja did a good job. I thought it was a fine 2.5D platformer.
That's fine. Like, the issue that I have with Nintendo, this is specifically Nintendo, they don't know what the hell they want to do with Metroid. They never considered Metroid one of their big three. For Nintendo, their big three when they came out in Japan was Mario, Zelda, and then Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, by and large there, until Pokemon happened, and then it became Pokemon. Whereas in the West, we thought the big three were Zelda, Samus, and Mario. But Nintendo doesn't think of that. Nintendo of Japan does not think Samus is a important character. They don't think a female bounty hunter going through space kicking ass is an important character to have for your lineage game that has been around for as long as your company has existed making video games. And their first game that's going to be coming out since 2010 that's even remotely Metroid related is Metroid Federation Force. From what we've seen, a 3DS game that looks like it was made for the Nintendo 64 with multiplayer co-op in mind, and doesn't even have Samus in it. You play the Federation soldiers that you see like get blown up every time Samus shows up, and like vaporized by pirates and X-parasites and what have you.
Yeah, apparently, when this game was unveiled last year at last year's E3, it got completely shat on by everybody.
Yep.
So I'm reading from Wikipedia here. Upon the unveiling of Metroid Prime Federation Force at E3 2015, the game was met with an overwhelmingly negative reception from fans. The trailer received over 25,000 dislikes on YouTube within the first day of its announcement, giving it a 90% dislike ratio, and reached 83,000 dislikes by the end of the year.
I took one look at it and was like, what are they doing? This is don't force swords Metroid. That doesn't work. No.
Don't Call of Duty Metroid on us.
Apparently,
because like they're developing the game as a 3D co-op like action shooter. No. Nintendo, what the fuck are you doing? This is meant to be a literal Metroidvania. This is literally a genre of game that you guys made and pioneered. Why are you not sticking with that formula? Even if you don't want to have it be Metroid Fusion, like advancing the storyline past Metroid Fusion, there's still a bunch of time between like Metroid and Metroid 2. or hell, Metroid 2 and Metroid 3 for the Super Metroid, or hell, you could even somehow insert a story in between Metroid Other M and Metroid Fusion.
It's certainly telling, though, that Nintendo kind of doesn't really care, because, let's see, a change.org petition calling for the cancellation of the game was created in the hours following the game's announcement, reaching 7,500 signatures in under 24 hours. Within 2 months, this petition went up to 20,000 signatures. It was later announced that the game does have a single-player mode and that Samus will make an appearance.
Yeah, it's probably literally going to be Samus shows up, says, "Hey, I'm going to deal with the pirates and the big threat. You goons here, deal with the scrubs and try not to die along the way."
And then following a long silence on the game was detailed further in a March 2016 Nintendo Direct. However, an accompanying trailer on YouTube received a 2-to-1 dislike-to-like ratio and had Nintendo disable the feature within hours of being available.
Like, I really hope that they're going to, like, if they're going to have this game come out, fine, whatever. If they have it be literally rescue damsel in distress Samus, I am going to, like, I may break my 3DS in rage.
And all of Chicago will be razed. Ron will start the Great Chicago Fire #2.
Oh, 2, yeah.
God damn it, you stole my joke.
To be fair, I feel like the internet would catch on fire with how much nerd rage would occur if it ended up being a rescue Samus from whatever it is that's captured her in Federation Force.
God, I hope not.
I really hope not either, but
well,
with how Nintendo handled the story in Other M, I don't know.
Well, you will find out on August 19th.
I'll find out one way or the other. I won't be buying it. I'll be watching the internet explode one way or the other.
You'll just be watching the diarrhea as it comes forth on the internet.
Yeah. Basically.
So on happier notes,
moving on, since Nintendo has done precisely dick with Metroid, we'll move on to Donkey Kong, which now Donkey Kong is 35.
God, Donkey Kong will become the new Cranky Kong by this point.
Yeah. So, in the games that have been since released, there were 3 that I found. There was a crossover: Mario and DK Minis on the Move, Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D, and Donkey Kong Country Returns Tropical Freeze.
Alright, so I have not played Mario and DK Minis because, honestly, that franchise is a horrible abomination to the original Donkey Kong arcade game and refuse to play it.
Fair enough.
Returns 3D, I don't really play many of the 3DS titles of console games, so I really don't know that one that too well. But Tropical Freeze was interesting. I saw what they were trying to do. They were trying to take Donkey Kong Country Returns and add Dixie and Cranky Kong. Dixie with her, helicopter spin that, was kind of like Diddy's jetpack, only better. And Cranky Kong, who I confused for Scrooge McDuck because his abilities were exactly Scrooge McDuck.
Okay.
It was. You use Cranky Kong's cane to safely bounce on vines. If that is not DuckTales, I don't know what is.
Fair enough. I see your point.
And it was otherwise an alright game. They brought back swimming segments, although it wasn't as good as the old Super Nintendo games. They were still fine. The plot of the game was interesting. I really didn't feel like Congo Bongo Island, or whatever the hell island it is, DK Island, whatever you want to call it, should have been frozen over in an Arctic blast caused by a horn. What? Invaded by penguin and walrus Vikings. Last I checked, penguins and walruses didn't get along.
Well, this is a video game, Nick. anything can happen in a video game. Reality and fantasy don't necessarily have to join.
But it was a good continuation of the first game. The later and the bonus levels are still hard as fucking balls because Nintendo does like to remind people we do know how to make hard games.
Yeah, and the occasional. Yeah, you remember this? Yeah. I'm looking at the reviews for Tropical Freeze, and apparently they were very good.
It was a good game. Would I call it better than the first one? No. But it was still good.
Well, the critics would tend to disagree with you, but then again, they're critics. I mean, I'm looking at some of the review scores. Destructoid gave it a perfect 10. Game Informer gave it a 9.25.
I'll give you a 5.831 out of a possible 7.244, you evildoer.
Yeah, and
sorry.
The outlier here is GameSpot, which with a 6 out of 10. Everywhere else,
no, I think 6 out of 10. I think is a little too low, but I just it was a good gameplay experience. It was a fun gameplay experience. I still would say it's just not better than the Wii one, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, and since I don't own a Wii U, I mean, I have not been able to play this. I do have Donkey Kong Country Returns for the Wii, and I do like that game.
It was a really good game. It just, I feel like they're not trying to do like the GameCube versions with the fucking bongos. What were they thinking?
Again, Nintendo loves its fucking gimmicks.
I know, but sometimes you don't need to have the gimmicks to have to make a good game. You can. It's okay to just make good solid platforming. It's okay, Nintendo.
It's okay. You can do it. We're all fine here. You don't have to do anything. But so I do not know is Nintendo planning anything else at this point, or nothing announced. I don't see anything announced.
The studio that makes the Donkey Kong Country games is Retro Studios, who made the Metroid Prime games. Mm-hmm. We do know that Retro Studios is working on a game, but it is neither Metroid nor Donkey Kong. It is supposedly going to be a brand new title for Retro. So, as far as I'm concerned right now, we're getting nothing on the Donkey Kong front, which I'm personally okay with. As of right now, I'm a little decayed out.
Fair enough. I did miss one, another in the Mario versus Donkey Kong series. This one, Tipping Stars.
Another one of those bastardized Mario games.
Yep. So that's that. So, which brings us to our final franchise for this episode. We get to Resident Evil.
And I'm just gonna take a step back here.
It's just like, nope. So, Resident Evil turns 20 this year. Almost old enough to drink.
They might need some drinks with what you're about to do.
Alright, so in the 5 years since Resident Evil, on its 15th anniversary, we have had Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2, we have had Operation Raccoon City, and Resident Evil 6. We have also had the upcoming Umbrella Corps and the upcoming Resident Evil 2 remake. So let me just get the good out of the way now. After Resident Evil 6, and the eventual ranting that I've done throughout downloadable content's history, Resident Evil Revelations 1 was actually a very good game. Resident Evil 1, Revelations 1 takes place between 4 and 5, and Capcom, I think, did a very good job of mixing classic Resident Evil gameplay with, you know, some of the more modern things that they've done. So, I mean, it was a nice mix of, say, classic Resident Evil and Resident Evil 4 type gameplay. So, the occasional quick time event, which was fine. They didn't abuse the privilege. But there was also, you know, a good deal of exploration and some puzzle solving from classic Resident Evil. And I thought the story was pretty solid. I enjoyed the game quite a bit. I do have Resident Evil Revelations 2, which Capcom decided to do in an episodic format. However, unlike Sega with Sonic 4, Capcom went ahead and made all of the episodes for Resident Evil Revelations 2, and have put them out on one disc, which is what I have for PS3. That is in my pending pile, and I will probably be playing it very soon, because I've been playing a lot of RPGs lately, and now I want some violence. Enough of this, you know, happy... Well, I can't really say Undertale was a very happy thrill... But anyway... Operation Raccoon City was another one of those Resident Evil spin-offs that bear no relation to the actual Resident Evil series canon. Operation Raccoon City, which I have not played, nor really have any desire to, it is basically a what-if sort of game. It's back again, we're back in Raccoon City. This is around the game canon of Resident Evil 2. However, what this game is, you are playing as a group of mercenaries for Umbrella during the zombie outbreak in Raccoon City. So this is kind of a what happened if Umbrella was successful, instead of going down in flames after Resident Evil 3. So it's a third-person shooter. It is, again, not related to the main series, and I'm fine with that, because some of the other attempts that Capcom has done spin-off have, you know, really just sucked. I mean, it was like a mixed reviews, but it actually ended up selling like over 2 million copies.
Still impressive.
Not bad. So, I mean, one of those games where, you know, the reviewers were like, yeah, but gamers were like, all right, we'll get it. Then you have Call of Duty. I mean, Resident Evil 6.
Tell us how you really feel, Brian.
What the fuck was Capcom thinking making this piece of shit?
Warning, next time. Those were my ears.
You said tell you how you really feel.
Maybe I should rephrase that next time.
Hey,
Ow.
You said tell me how you really feel. You did not say be careful of my tender virgin ears. Therefore, it's your fault. So.
All right. So let me kind of go a little bit here on Resident Evil in general. I have not played any of the games. I have no desire to play any of the games. I don't deal with the horror genre very well. I have heard the tales that Resident Evil 5 was shitty. That people didn't really like 5. But yet, they would rather take 5 3 times over than what they got out of Resident Evil 6.
I would play Resident Evil 5 a dozen times over before playing the first 15 minutes of Resident Evil 6.
Which is impressive to me. Very impressive. Because how historically bad does a game have to be for people who didn't really even like Resident Evil 5 to then go, I would rather play that than 6?
The thing was, Resident Evil 5, and Resident Evil 5, from a story perspective, wrapped pretty much all of it up. Because Resident Evil 5, you got the final resolution between Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, and Wesker. That started from Resident Evil 1. This game wrapped it all up. Resident Evil 5 wrapped everything up, and I was, it wasn't a great game, but when I finished that game, I said, if Capcom just ends the series here, I can take it. I will be content. It's fine. Good. Stop. And then Capcom said, no! Fuck you! Capcom decided to make their next main entry basically like a Call of Duty game. And the line always was, and, I can't really take credit for this. I read it somewhere, and I've long since forgotten where I read it. But Resident Evil 6 was described as, if you like Call of Duty, you will like Resident Evil 6. If you like Resident Evil, you will hate Resident Evil 6. Because that's all it is. It's just hordes of zombies and other enemies and endless bullets, and it is just, the whole game is fast action, no stop, no breaks, with, cutscenes interspersed here and there to, tie the loose story together. There is no exploration, there is no puzzle solving, QuickTime events are abused to hell. There's no, okay, now the rest of the planet is getting infected with BOW, virus, because Wesker is a fucking megalomaniac, and before he died, he wanted to, oh, God. Wesker actually, one of the characters in Resident Evil 6 is Jake Wesker, which is Albert Wesker's son. And the reason why Jake is in the game is because it is revealed at some point that Wesker had a one-night stand. So, Jake Wesker is a love child.
Wow, isn't that just lovely? And let me guess, Resident Evil 7 will be the mother!
The mother, they actually do like a couple of throwaway lines in the game that the mother was some, like, really poor person in India or something like that.
My God.
Oh, yeah. Not even just, ugh. And the game is, and you don't even play as one character for the whole game. It is broken up into story sections. So one chapter you'll play as Chris. The other you will play as Leon Kennedy. The other you will play as Sherry Birkin, who is now grown up. She's from Resident Evil 2. You'll play as Jake. Well, it's not Jake Wesker, it's Jake Muller. That's his name. But he is, Wesker's son. The thing was, it got the sick thing that makes my blood boil even more is the fact that Resident Evil 6 is Capcom's second best selling game.
Do you need a hug, Brian?
I need a hug and several hundred shots of whiskey. Resident Evil 6 is Capcom's second best-selling game.
All right, audience, I'm going to be taking off here. I'm going to make my way to Albany with a whole supply of whiskey for Brian here. Just so we could down some shots, go cry into some pillows.
And I'm convinced that the reason why the game sold so well is, again, because all of those first-person shooter fans, or third-person shooter fans, who just ate this game up.
Yeah. That's the worst part of it all, is that it seems like the crappier as long as you borrow off enough elements, the game's gonna sell. And
you're taking a look at the review scores for this game, you can kind of tell which magazines or websites got paid to say good things about Resident Evil 6. Okay, so here we go. Destructoid, 3 out of 10. Edge, 6 out of 10. Eurogamer, 6 out of 10. G4, 2.5 out of 5. Game Informer, 9 out of 10. Famitsu, 39 out of 40.
What? Famitsu of all, they never do anything like that. That's okay.
The Escapist, 3 out of 5. IGN, 8 out of 10. So, and here's the thing. There was an interview between the official PlayStation blog and Resident Evil 6 executive producer. They asking a question about all of the fan criticism. So the executive producer, Hiroyuki Kobayashi, he said that, quote, the fans and us as creators are the two parents, and just like real parents, you're not always going to agree on what is best for raising that child. We want to make sure that what we do pleases them, but the initial reaction might not always be positive. We do listen to the fans, but we can't be beholden to them at every turn, or I don't think we'll ever make progress in terms of the series' development.
TLDR, fuck off fans, I know what I'm doing.
Well, again, Ron, that's the thing, because, he says that, and the fact that Resident Evil 6 is Capcom's second best-selling game of all time, that's, well...
Yeah, but that's Capcom.
So, and just taking that statement by itself, so you think of all the Capcom franchises, Mega Man, Street Fighter, Monster Hunter, Phoenix Wright, Okami, Devil May Cry. Resident Evil 6 is their second best-selling game?
And number one's probably 4?
I don't know, and...
More likely. I'm sure Wikipedia will tell you that.
But Resident Evil 6 it was one of those... It was the last game I have ever pre-ordered, and I think it was the last game I ever spent the full $60 on. And after I beat it, luckily there was some sort of trade-in deal going on at GameStop, and I said, no, I can't. Take this piece of shit back.
Yeah. I looked it up. So, best-selling Capcom games as of December 31st, 2015 from Capcom's official website. Number 5, Monster Hunter Freedom 3, 4.8 million units sold. Resident Evil 2 is number 4 at 4.96 million.
Great game, that's fine.
Number 3, Street Fighter 2, 6.3 million units sold.
Are they including all of the different editions like Turbo and Hyper?
I would assume they are.
Super Turbo Hyper and Super Turbo Fuck Your Mom edition, and
I would assume they are, just based on how that number jumps from 4.96 to 6.3.
Okay.
Number 2 is Resident Evil 6 at 6.4 million.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, Resident Evil 5, 7 million units sold.
Wow.
Well, there's your proof, Brian, that...
So of the top 5 best-selling Capcom games of all time, 3 of them are Resident Evil titles.
Yeah. For reference, I just looked up Resident Evil 4. So they only got 1 listed here, and Resident Evil 4, but this is the PS2 edition at 2.3 million units sold.
All right. I mean, like you said, Resident Evil 5 was not a bad game. And as I said, Resident Evil 5 wraps up the entire Chris, Jill, Wesker, Umbrella thing. It ends it right there. And again, that game is also the point where the series really jumps the shark. Chris punching boulders. Wesker as a meat tornado inside of a volcano. So, I mean... That's fine, but I'm still shocked that, the franchises that made Capcom, Mega Man, isn't even a fucking blip on best-selling titles for Capcom. That's sad.
And
For reference, the highest rated one I'm looking at on this list is Mega Man 2 at 1.51 million units sold, and this game came out in 1988.
yeah.
Oh.
Like, what the fuck does Capcom do? Like, I don't get it. Like, they're known for Mega Man, Street Fighter, Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, and Devil May Cry. Like, 5 really good titles. Maybe the issue here is that these are 5 really good Western titles, and that not a lot of people in Japan play these games.
Well, be that as it may, we can sob about, you know, what games should and shouldn't be on Capcom's bestseller list, but back to the subject at hand, and that is eviscerating this fucking franchise. So we have 2 games pending for Resident Evil. We have Umbrella Corps, which they had a booth up at PAX, and I wanted nothing to do with it. Because Umbrella Corps is going to be another shooter, and luckily it does not take place. It's not a canon game, thank God. It's a shooter, and it's one of those games where it's a horde game that you just fight hordes of enemies.
Is this meant to like take place during Resident Evil 2? And you're playing a cleanup crew that's meant to go in and like kill everything?
That was Operation Raccoon City. That was
okay,
that already happened. This takes place 2 years after Resident Evil 6. And it's a tactical shooter. And I had to laugh because when this game was revealed, it got so many negative. It received a lot of negative reactions, with a lot of critics comparing the game to what else? Call of Duty. Somebody else from PC Gamer thought that the game had strayed too far from the franchise and that it was a pointless addition. Somebody else from Game Revolution thought that Umbrella Corps was a standard and generic FPS with a Resident Evil skin on it. So, yeah, I saw that at PAX and I went, nope, just nope to pussed my way away from the Capcom booth as far as possible. However, there is one that I am looking forward to, and that is finally, Resident Evil 2 gets the HD love that Resident Evil 1 keeps getting. I don't know how many re-releases and re-releases and repaintings and HD Resident Evil 1 has gotten. And you know, alright, the first time they did that, fine. That was great. I bought it because not only did the graphics and the voice acting much better. I mean, there are no stupid throwaway lines like, "You were almost a Jill sandwich," and "Here's a lockpick. It would be great if you, Jill, the master of unlocking, took it." Now, they got rid of all those cheesy lines. They tightened up the story very well. And it was a fun game to play. But then Capcom kept doing it to Resident Evil 1. And only Resident Evil 1, I'm like, hello? What about Resident Evil 2 and 3 that you haven't touched since PlayStation? And
memory serves, Resident Evil 1, when it got first remade, was on the GameCube?
Yep. And then it got, and then now it's getting another HD for Steam. For PC. So,
all right.
So I'm like, okay, what about Resident Evil 2 and 3, which I mean, and a lot of they're far better games. And so finally, Capcom, I think Capcom is doing this basically because the demand for an HD remake of Resident Evil 2 got so loud that they finally went, all right, we'll do it, just shut up. So Resident Evil 2 is finally getting the same amount of love. So when that comes out, I will be buying that. You know, provided they don't turn Resident Evil 2, the HD remake, into Resident Evil 6.2.
Fair enough.
Otherwise, I'm just gonna, go to Japan and burn Capcom at the stake.
You're gonna stake a building?
The logistics of staking an entire building might be difficult, but god damn it, I'll figure it out.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be flying there, you can always pick up the Space Needle from Seattle and use that as your stake.
That's a brilliant idea!
God damn it.
I'm gonna airlift the Space Needle from Seattle. That's the
How much fuel do you need to lift the Space Needle, take it all the way to Tokyo?
No, just hide it in your inventory.
Oh, of course, your video game pocket.
Yeah. Just make sure to declare it for a carry-on, Brian.
Yeah, just, the TSA won't detect it. I'm good. What's that sticking out of your suit? Nothing, just nothing. It's a souvenir. I'll return it when I'm done.
I'm just really happy to see you.
So I'm looking forward to that, but Resident Evil again has not, at least Capcom for some reason has made a lot of money on those shitty titles, but why? But so okay, I think I've ranted enough for now. Try again in an hour, but I'm good for now.
You use up all your fuel. Now you're exposing your weak point.
Yeah, and I want to stop before it gets to that point. So, do we have any final thoughts on any of the 6 franchises we covered? No,
Three
okay,
of them,
good.
Three of them. I felt by and large had pretty good 5-year spans. The other 2 of them, not so much. One of them got an incomplete because it didn't even bother participating.
I was just surprised that Nintendo hasn't touched it in 5 years. I'm like, you mean Star Fox got more love? Yeah. That's
To be fair, Star Fox didn't even release for almost 10.
Yeah, so I don't know. So, all right. So if you have any questions, thoughts, comments about this episode or any other episode of downloadable content, you can get in touch with us on our website at dlcpodcast.com. Use the nice little feedback button, send us your thoughts, give us ideas for future episodes, let us know if you want to be on an episode. You can also, again, get every single episode there. You can check out what we actually look like. We have bios there. Nick is still a disembodied voice.
Of course.
So
that's all I am. I am a voice.
You're just a disembodied voice. Actually, I might replace your placeholder image with an image of Sans or Papyrus from Undertale to replace that. So, alrighty, it just remains for me to thank Nick and Ron for being on this little retrospective with me. And with that, I am Brian, and have a good one, everybody.